there, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. This is the fifth video of my winter landscape series and the last one as well. In today's video, we'll be painting this beautiful daylight landscape, and I think it has turned out so beautiful. And the process is very easy as well. So gather all your supplies and let's get started. Let us start with the supply. So I'm using this 100% cotton 300 GSM paper by Archie's, these watercolor paints by White Knight in the shade Bright Blue, Blue Lake, Sepia and Burnt Umber. If you don't have these blues, don't worry, you can use cerulean blue and ultramarine blue as well. Some round brushes. I'm using size 12, 8, 4 and 2. A ceramic mixing palette. 2 jars of water, one for cleaning our brush and one for clean supply of water. I'm also having a paper towel, pencil and tape handy with me. So the very first step that I like to do is to tape down my paper on a board carefully on all 4 sides. I really like having that, white border, so that is why I do it. And also it keeps my paper intact. And the first thing that you do after that is to get a rough pencil sketch. So I'm just going to quickly sketch the horizon line roughly, and I've divided my paper in half and I'm going to sketch a tree. So as you can see, I'm sketching a tree and I'm also sketching some branches, and why I'm doing that is because it gives me an idea of roughly where my branches will be, and using that as the reference, I'm going to be painting my shadows. So as you can see, I've sketched my tree and I'm also sketching the shadow. So that's why having a few branches as your reference is easy. So just imagine that we have a sun behind the tree, and that is why we have an elongated shadow. So we have that shadow, and that is why it's elongated. Maybe it's like the morning sun or an afternoon sun, so that's why the shadows are longer. And I've also sketched a few trees at the horizon and some far off mountains and bushes as well. Let us start off by painting the sky. So for the sky, I'm going to do a nice gradient wash between Blue Lake and Bright Blue. And for that, I'm going to be doing the wet on wet technique, and that is why I've wet the sky portion evenly with some clean water. And then I'm going to move ahead and add the lightest tone of bright blue at the bottom, and using the left and right strokes, I'm going to move upwards. So use the lightest tone of a color first and then move on to adding, darker tones and making it more vibrant. And at the top, I'm going to add Blue Lake. You can use ultramarine blue if you have that, and blend it out and blend Blue Lake and the bright blue together. Just make sure that the area where we sketch the sun roughly, we're going to leave it with bright blue. And then we're going to move ahead to creating these far off clouds at the horizon. So first I started off by lifting the paint using my brush, and that was not turning out as exactly how I wanted it to be. The clouds were not looking fluffy, but then I moved to lifting the paint using my tissue paper, and that just turned out amazing. I loved how fluffy the clouds looked with very minimal efforts, and I think I would give this like 100 points for creating clouds, and that too like far off, not so detailed clouds. So just lift off the paint at the horizon using a tissue paper to create these clouds. Once I'm done creating the clouds, I'm going to move ahead and add some sun rays to my sun. So for creating the sun rays, I'm going to be using my brush to lift off the paint that is on the paper. So for that, you need to completely dry off your brush. Make sure there's no water on it. And once you move your brush on the paper, it absorbs the water and the paint along with it. And you can wipe it on your tissue to do the same process again. So I really wanted my sun to glow through, so that is why I've created this sun rays using my brush to lift off the paint. once the sky has completely dried, we're going to move ahead and paint these bushes at the horizon. So you can just use random, dabs and strokes to create these bushes, but also make sure that you add these little trees as well for some detailing. I really like doing that, so I've added some tiny far off trees using my brush. You can go ahead and do that as well. You can add basically anything. If you don't like these bushes that I've done, you can create mountains as well. Whatever works for you, because you're here to have fun. Once the trees near the horizon have dried, we're going to move ahead and paint the snow on the ground. So for that, I'm going to be using the wet on wet technique as well. So I've gone ahead and layered it with some clean water evenly on the ground portion. And for creating the shadows of my snow, I'm going to go with the lightest tone of Blue Lake first. So I'm just going to add it randomly on the ground just to give my snow a bit of the color from the sky. And I'm just going to go evenly, since it's the lightest tone of Blue Lake. I'm just going to cover it entirely on the ground. And for creating the shadows, I'm going to use Blue Lake and a very tiny bit of indigo or Payne's gray. If you don't have that, you can use very tiny bit of black as well. And I'm going to add it near the little twigs and some detailing that I did, for some grass. And I'm just going to blend it out with the snow just to give some color to my snow. And I'm just going to add some splatters as well before I move ahead with the bigger shadows. So I've done that using my brush. I loaded it with some paint and tapped it against another brush, and then we're going to move ahead and paint the bigger shadows. So you remember the sketch that we did earlier when we started? So using that as the reference, we're going to be creating these longer shadows of our tree. So I really like doing this before creating the tree, because I really like the soft look of the shadows, which merges because of the wet on wet technique. But if you choose, you can do it after creating a tree as well. So that is completely up to you. I really like doing this process. And yeah, that's it. I'm just going to use that as a reference, create a few branches here and there, and sketch the shadows of my tree. I also went ahead and added a little bit of sepia around the tree and around the shrubs, just to give it a little bit of depth when I will be adding the strokes on a dry paper. So I just wanted a little bit of brown over there as well, and I'm going to put it randomly on the ground where I'll be creating these little grass as well. And once the paper has completely dried, we're going to move ahead and paint the tree. So for the tree, I'm just going to start first with adding a little bit of water at the bottom, so that the paint merges and it does not look so flat. And first we'll be sketching the main branches and then going forward to paint the smaller branches. So just like we sketched, we'll be painting the bigger branches first. And one thing to keep in mind is that when you're painting around the sun rays, be careful, because we want our sun rays to shine through our tree. But don't worry if you mess up, I will be showing you how to fix your mistake later on. And yeah, that's it. For now, our main focus is to paint the tree, so let's do it. I also went ahead and added these little twigs near the tree using the same darker tone of sepia, and also I'll be adding it to the shrubs behind the tree and to add a little bit of grass on the ground wherever we added the lighter tone of sepia before when our paper was still wet. Once all of that is done, we're going to move ahead and add the tiniest branches on our tree using our smallest size brush. So you can use 0 or 2 by 0 here to create these smaller branches, and don't worry about making it look perfect because I always tell you that painting is about having fun. So just have fun in the process and create these tiny branches. I'm going to go ahead and increase the speed of the video a little bit further because the process is fairly repetitive and I'm just creating the tiny little branches and there's no particular order in which you do it. So I'm just going to speed up the process, but if you think you want to follow me along, you can always decrease the speed as per your need. Once I was done creating the tree, I was not happy that my sun was not shining through it. So I wanted to fix that. And for fixing that, I've used white gouache here. You can use white gouache or poster colors, and you can just follow the rays like we did while lifting up the paint from the paper. But just follow those rays, and since gouache is an opaque medium, it will cover any of the mistakes that you have below. And if you don't have white gouache, you can use your white watercolors straight from the tube. And now for my most favorite part, and that is to add the splatters. So load your brush with a darker tone of Payne's grey or sepia and tap it against another brush to create these splatters. Don't forget to cover the sky portion to avoid those splatters going there. And that's it. Remove your masking tape and there you have your very beautiful winter landscape. Let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. And if you've painted along with me, don't forget to share it with me on Instagram at The Simply Aesthetic. Do share this with your friends if you think they like it. And do like and subscribe to my channel for more art videos. And I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.